Wednesday, December 20th, 1989. As the U.S. invasion of Panama erupts in the dead of night, a covert Delta Force team fast ropes onto the roof of one of the most dangerous prisons in Central America on a mission to rescue an American hostage moments away from execution. The guards are armed, the exits are blocked, and what begins as a textbook extraction quickly turns into a Black Hawk crash, a rooftop gunfight, and one of the most legendary hostage rescues in American Special Operations history. In 1989, Panama was unraveled. The economy was frozen, political dissent was crushed, and the country's military dictator, General Manuel Noriega, had declared himself maximum leader, despite losing a democratic election just months prior, while being under indictment by the U.S. for drug trafficking and racketeering, and openly taunted American officials as he tightened his grip on power in Panama. Noriega had once been a paid CIA asset, fucking surprise, but by the late 80s, he'd gone fully rogue, laundering cartel money, jailing political opponents, and ordering the murder of his critics. His regime was a hybrid of military dictatorship and narco state, and Washington had had enough. By mid-December, U.S. forces had already begun deploying around the canal, and just after a U.S. Marine was shot and killed in a Panama roadblock, President George H.W. Bush gave the green light to invade, and 35-year-old Kurt Muse, a U.S. Army veteran turned civilian contractor, was in the thick of it. Muse had lived in Panama for years and ran a small business repairing radio equipment, spoke fluent Spanish, and lived quietly with his wife and two daughters in Panama City. But beneath that calm exterior, Muse had become part of something dangerous. Alongside a handful of Panamanian dissidents and fellow Americans, Muse helped launch a secret AM radio station known as the Voice of Liberty, which broadcast brief, sharply worded, anti-Noriega messages across the capital. The station was built in a hidden room, transmitted just minutes at a time, and constantly shifted frequencies to avoid detection. But Noriega's security forces found him anyway, and in March of 1989, Muse was arrested by Panama Defense Forces while walking into a bank. He was blindfolded, interrogated, and thrown in to Carcel Modelo, a brutal prison known for its crumbling cells and history of political abuse. He was never charged, never given a trial, and was forbidden from seeing his family. The guards referred to him as El Traitor, and the order was clear: if the Americans invade, kill him. From his cell, Muse couldn't hear much, but he started to pick up patterns: increased foot traffic from outside, nervous voices, radios being turned down when he passed. He didn't know it yet, but the world outside was getting ready to burn as the United States launched their invasion.
Many attempts have been made to resolve this crisis through diplomacy and negotiations. All were rejected by the dictator of Panama, General Manuel Noriega.
As the invasion kicked off, something else was brewing behind the scenes. Codenamed Operation Acid Gambit, Delta Force was about to carry out not only their first combat hostage rescue mission, but this would unknowingly be their debut on the world stage. Because at this time, nobody knew who they were or if they were even real. What was once a ghost story was about to become a very real public display of ultra-violence. And with the invasion in full swing, there was zero margin for error. The intel was simple. Muse was being held on the third floor of Carcel Modelo. The prison was fortified, centrally located, and crawling with guards. The plan was to hit fast, hit quiet, and get out before the entire city erupted in chaos. If the guards even suspected a rescue attempt, they'd kill Muse on the spot. And just after 0100 hours, Delta operators loaded into Little Bird helicopters and approached low and fast, hugging the rooftops of Panama City under the cover of darkness. Once overhead, Delta roped onto the roof of the prison in a matter of seconds. But before we get into it, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, Aura. Alright, last time we searched my best friend's name in Google, and he really didn't mind, so we'll do it again. Look at the results. You can see his previous addresses, the address of his mom's basement. You can check his criminal record, his restraining orders from Chuck E. Cheese. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your phone number or why your inbox is flooded with spam, this is why. There are these sad excuses of companies called data brokers that sell your data. They do it without your consent, and they make billions selling it to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And while they're legally required to remove your info if you ask, they make it almost impossible to do. That is why I recommend Aura to all of my friends and family, and to you. They take care of the hard part by automatically removing your information from data broker lists, and most importantly, keeping it off. Aura works around the clock to keep your personal information and data safe. And by automatically opting out of data broker lists, Aura has significantly reduced the number of spam calls that I receive. In fact, the number of female calls that I receive has increased by 600%. But that's not even all they do. Aura provides comprehensive protection in one convenient place. That includes antivirus software, a VPN for secure browsing, secure password management, identity theft insurance, credit monitoring, and I've even noticed an increase in gains in the gym. And I don't go to a gym, I am the gym. You don't need to subscribe monthly to multiple apps. Aura consolidates everything you need into one convenient place, saving you time, money, and storage. If you want to shove it up a data broker's database and protect your information, well, Aura is offering you a 2-week free trial, so you're in luck. Simply go to aura.com/popomedic or check the link in the description and protect you and your family's information today. As Delta fast roped onto the roof, a shape charge was slapped onto the rooftop hatch, blown open, and the team poured inside. The interior of the building was pitch black, concrete stairwells, echoing gunfire, radios blaring, and Delta split into 2 teams, one holding the roof and the other sweeping floor by floor toward Muse's cell. And on the 3rd floor, they found the target. Muse was sitting upright and alert. A demo charge was placed and the cell was unlocked. Muse was stunned, but they didn't give him time to think. A ballistic helmet was shoved onto his head, and a soft armor vest was thrown over his chest. One of the operators grabbed him by the collar and yanked him into the hallway. They moved fast and back to the rooftop, where a Black Hawk was already hovering for exfil. Muse was shoved on board, shielded by the operators' bodies, and seconds later, they lifted off. All seemed to have gone smoothly, but the escape wouldn't be clean. As the helicopter pulled away from the prison, it took fire from troops on the ground. Rounds punched through the fuselage, leading to sparks, alarms, and smoke. Then, a loud crack. The tail rotor had taken a hit. The Black Hawk lost power and clipped a power line as it descended. With no time to gain altitude, the pilots went for a crash landing. They managed to put the bird down on a nearby street and successfully made a hard landing. No fireball, but the impact was brutal. Everyone on board was rocked. Inside the downed aircraft, Delta immediately moved out to form a perimeter. Sergeant First Class Doc Holland, a Delta medic, crawled across the floor bleeding from the face. He found Muse and threw his body over him, ready to take more incoming fire if it came. And it did. Gunfire cracked all around as the Panamanian forces closed in. Delta popped infrared strobes and got Muse into cover behind a jeep as they returned fire. Minutes later, a small army convoy from the 5th Infantry Division came rumbling around the corner. Delta loaded Muse and their wounded into the vehicle and hauled ass out of the hot zone. Kurt Muse was successfully rescued and flown to a secure U.S. military facility, reunited with his family, and debriefed. His extraction had taken 15 minutes from rooftop to crash site. It was surgical, violent, flawless in its execution, even with the crash. And for Delta Force, it was their first public win. a textbook example of what Tier 1 hostage rescue could look like. Operation Acid Gambit proved that America had more than brute force. It had scalpel teams, ghost units, quiet professionals who could drop into a hostile capital in the middle of a war, breach a prison, and exfil a hostage without asking for permission. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more mini docs in the works, and you don't want to miss them. And be sure to check me out over on X and Instagram as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.